Imagine a world where the story of Jesus Christ is just the tip of the iceberg, a realm where secret knowledge unlocks the mysteries of the universe, and the material world is a prison created by a false god. This isn't the plot of a sci-fi novel, it's the fascinating world of the Gnostic Gospels. Hidden for centuries and rediscovered in 1945, the Gnostic Gospels are a collection of ancient texts that paint a radically different picture of early Christianity. These writings were deemed heretical by the early church, but they've captivated scholars and spiritual seekers alike with their mysterious teachings. So, what exactly are the Gnostic Gospels? They're a set of religious texts, mostly Christian in nature, that were not included in the official New Testament canon. The name Gnostic comes from the Greek word gnosis, meaning knowledge. But this isn't just any knowledge. It's a special, secret wisdom that, according to Gnostic belief, leads to salvation. The Gnostic Gospels include texts like the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary, and the Gospel of Judas. Each offers a unique perspective on Jesus and his teachings, often wildly divergent from mainstream Christianity. One of the most striking aspects of Gnostic thought is its cosmology. Unlike traditional Christianity, many Gnostic texts describe a complex spiritual hierarchy. At the top is the true, unknowable God. Below this supreme being are various divine entities called aeons. The material world, according to Gnostic belief, wasn't created by this highest God, but by a lower, ignorant deity called the demiurge. This demiurge, often equated with the God of the Old Testament, is portrayed as a flawed, sometimes even malevolent being. The Gnostics believed that the material world, our physical reality, is fundamentally flawed, a kind of cosmic prison trapping divine sparks of the true God within human bodies. So how does one escape this material prison? Through gnosis, of course. The Gnostics taught that salvation comes not through faith or good works, but through a direct experiential knowledge of the divine. This gnosis reveals one's true spiritual nature and the path back to the highest God. Jesus, in Gnostic texts, is often portrayed not as a savior who dies for humanity's sins, but as a teacher of secret wisdom. The Gospel of Thomas, for instance, is a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus, many of which emphasize the importance of self-knowledge and understanding. If you bring forth what is within you, one saying goes, what you bring forth will save you. The Gnostic Gospels also often give prominent roles to figures who are marginal or even vilified in Orthodox Christianity. The Gospel of Mary presents Mary Magdalene as Jesus' closest disciple and the one who truly understood his teachings. The Gospel of Judas portrays Judas not as a traitor, but as Jesus' most trusted disciple, the only one who understood the necessity of the crucifixion. These texts often challenge traditional Christian views on the nature of God, the role of women in spiritual leadership, and the path to salvation. In the Gospel of Philip, for example, Mary Magdalene is described as Jesus' companion, using language that some scholars interpret as indicating a romantic or sexual relationship, a far cry from her portrayal in Orthodox tradition. The Gnostic view of resurrection is also strikingly different. Rather than a bodily resurrection, many Gnostic texts describe a spiritual awakening or realization. The Gospel of Philip states, "Those who say they will die first and then rise are in error. If they do not first receive the resurrection while they live, when they die, they will receive nothing." It's important to note that there wasn't a single unified Gnostic religion. The term Gnosticism covers a wide range of beliefs and practices, some of which contradict each other. What unites them is the emphasis on secret knowledge and a generally negative view of the material world. The discovery of the Gnostic Gospels at Nag Hammadi in Egypt was a watershed moment in religious studies. These texts, buried for over 1,600 years, offered a window into the diversity of early Christian thought. They challenged the idea that there was ever a single, monolithic Christianity, showing instead a tapestry of competing ideas and interpretations. So why were these texts suppressed? The early church fathers saw Gnostic ideas as dangerous heresies. The notion that the material world was evil seemed to contradict the idea of a good creator God. The emphasis on secret knowledge clashed with the Church's mission to spread the gospel to all, and the sometimes radical reinterpretations of Jesus' life and teachings threatened the authority of the emerging Orthodox tradition. But despite being suppressed, Gnostic ideas have persisted throughout history. You can see echoes of Gnostic thought in medieval mysticism, Renaissance alchemy, and even modern New Age spirituality. The idea that there's a hidden, spiritual truth beyond the material world continues to resonate with many people. In our modern world, the Gnostic Gospels raise fascinating questions. What if there's more to spirituality than what mainstream religions teach? How might our understanding of Jesus and early Christianity change if these texts had been included in the Bible? And in a world often fixated on material success, is there something to be gained from the Gnostic emphasis on inner spiritual knowledge? Now let's take a closer look at some of the most significant Gnostic Gospels, each offering its own unique perspective on Jesus and his teachings. 1. The Gospel of Thomas. Perhaps the most famous of the Gnostic texts, this gospel doesn't tell a narrative but instead consists of 114 sayings attributed to Jesus. Many of these are cryptic and emphasize the importance of seeking inner knowledge. One striking quote reads, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you." 2. The Gospel of Mary. This text gives a prominent role to Mary Magdalene, presenting her as Jesus' closest disciple and the one who truly understood his teachings. It challenges traditional gender roles in early Christianity and suggests that Mary had a special relationship with Jesus. 3. The Gospel of Judas. In a complete reversal of the traditional narrative, this gospel portrays Judas not as a traitor, but as Jesus' most trusted disciple. It suggests that Judas's betrayal was actually requested by Jesus as part of a divine plan. 4. The Gospel of Philip. This text is known for its complex theology and its suggestion of a close, possibly romantic relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene. It also contains detailed descriptions of Gnostic sacramental rituals. 5. The Gospel of Truth. More of a sermon than a gospel, this text provides a poetic description of the Gnostic understanding of salvation through knowledge. It describes ignorance as the source of all suffering and presents Jesus as the revealer of liberating truth. 6. The Apocryphon of John. This is one of the most comprehensive Gnostic texts, providing a detailed account of Gnostic cosmology. It describes the origin of the universe, the nature of God, and the creation of humanity in a way that dramatically differs from Orthodox Christianity. 7. The Gospel of the Egyptians. Not to be confused with a text of the same name known to early church fathers, this Gnostic text contains a complex creation myth and emphasizes the role of Seth, Adam's third son, in salvation history. 8. Pistis Sophia. This lengthy text purports to contain Jesus' teachings to his disciples after his resurrection. It's known for its complex cosmology and its emphasis on the divine feminine, personified in the figure of Sophia, or wisdom. 9. The Secret Book of James. This text claims to contain secret teachings that Jesus gave to James and Peter after his resurrection. It emphasizes the need for martyrdom and suffering in the pursuit of spiritual growth. 10. The Apocalypse of Peter. Not to be confused with the non-Gnostic text of the same name, this Gnostic apocalypse presents a radically different interpretation of Jesus' crucifixion, suggesting that the true spiritual Christ escaped while only his physical body was crucified. Each of these texts offers a window into the diverse and often radical ideas circulating in early Christian communities. They challenge our understanding of early Christianity, suggesting a far more varied and complex religious landscape than traditional history often portrays. What's particularly fascinating is how these texts often contradict not just Orthodox Christianity, but also each other. This underscores the fact that Gnosticism wasn't a single unified movement, but rather a collection of related but diverse spiritual traditions. The Gnostic Gospels remind us that history is rarely simple or straightforward. They invite us to consider alternative perspectives, to question our assumptions, and to recognize the complexity of religious development. Whether you see them as heretical texts or as valuable spiritual resources, their rediscovery has undoubtedly enriched our understanding of early Christianity and continues to provoke thought and debate to this day. As we conclude our exploration of the Gnostic Gospels, we're left with a sense of the vast, often hidden diversity of human spiritual experience. These ancient texts, silenced for centuries, speak to us across the millennia, challenging us to look deeper, to question more, and to never stop seeking knowledge. In true Gnostic fashion, perhaps the greatest wisdom lies not in any single answer, but in the endless quest for understanding.